The following program is a fan-made review and reaction show. It is in no way affiliated with the movie trivia Schmoedown or Skybound Entertainment.
Welcome back, folks, to the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. This is your championship match breakdown. Bogz, it was another hell of a pay-per-view last night, brother. 3.5 hours. I mean, I feel like I just went to bed, and now I'm back up, and we're back talking Schmoedown. I feel like I just saw you. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm good. But the answer is Michael Jackson's Beat It from the Thriller album. Yes. Bye. Yeah, so that was just obviously a joke. But yeah, great match once again. Yeah, so the team match was epic. Obviously, a lot of internet problems, streaming problems, which we haven't really had so far. So yeah, that was interesting watching all that go down. And then obviously the big singles title match on the line, the 5 rounds. Yeah, so it was great. Like you said, I'm a little bit tired as well. I'm not gonna lie, because it finished really late. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah. We need to break it down. So yeah, let's do it.
So you stayed up?
I did, yeah. So, but I think
because I know you hadn't. You've been kind of splitting it up.
I've been like falling asleep. Yeah, basically, first pay-per-view, I fell asleep after the undercard. Last week, I stayed up for the full thing. This time, stayed up for the full thing as well. So yeah.
So that undercard, probably one of, at least in my mind, a pretty hyped up match in terms of, talent. I think that was what we kept getting to yesterday. All the lead up is that this is probably the most talent filled, aside from what we're going to see this coming week with Corruption and Final Fathers, probably the most talent you're going to see all year on screen at one time in terms of just raw overall talent. And boy, it was on display. I mean, Final Exam and Shazam just totally just playing everything right. I mean, it seemed like everyone was in sync, aside from a couple misses in round one that seemed a little out of character for Paul. I thought there wasn't anything too out of the ordinary for this match. I felt like everything kind of went to the book, aside from who we all thought was going to win. Of course, it's always sucks, Bogz. I think that's the first time we've been wrong on a pick in the last
pretty much
month. Maybe we've been doing pretty good. Vegas, if you guys want to start,
ourselves,
yeah, in Vegas, if you guys want to open up a sportsbook, Schmoedown Sportsbook, I would be happy to make a little side cash. But this one, I would have lost all the money because I would have made some stupid bet on Paulo Yama. It would have been a parlay of Paulo Yama to get a perfect round one, of Lon to drop out of the call, and then for Final Exam to win. Yeah. So I would have only been 1 for 3 on those picks, but because that was one thing, man. Lon, let's just talk. We're not, internet's internet. It is what it is. And, sometimes you run your phone off of the, and I made this joke. Sometimes your Wi-Fi is sponsored by TracFone, and other times it's sponsored by Verizon or, some nice big company. But last night was not the best connection. Let's say. Yeah.
It was a long round one. Everyone had problems, obviously, apart from the host, really. So yeah, it was a bit difficult to get through it. But before that, even actually, during the promos, I did really, I forgot how much I liked Bibbs and missed him as an overall player. Like the subtle shots he takes, with also being really playful and polite. I loved it. Like him saying like, "Oh, Ayama hasn't had the best season." And also saying I've TKO'd Lon twice, and then being like, yeah, I'm really happy, really thumbs up. So yeah, like I did kind of notice like that's the same kind of thing as Chandru does, but that's like completely dismissed, and nobody likes that, and that's I don't like him as a player. But when Bibbs does it, oh yeah, it's really kind of it's really effective and stuff like that, which it is. Obviously he's proven, he's won his title and stuff, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I really like it. But yeah, I did I love the kind of additional the different characters and how they take it, and the kind of mind games that they play. So I did really appreciate that. Yeah, obviously, like you said, going into round one, I was little bit shocked as well with obviously the kid missing a couple early on, like you said. In our obviously live match, that you wanted to see the big kind of step up from the kid, and I was like, oh man, he's starting off rusty. Obviously Bib Stella as usual round one, and that was no surprise to me. But I
missed that, man. I missed that.
Yeah, I know. Overall, the overall round one I thought was actually quite tough questions wise. Like people are saying, oh, round one questions are easier this year. Some matches, obviously, like the match obviously we've had with Summerfield.
I'm sorry, Mississippi Burning. Mississippi Burning.
How are you going to know which one it was?
Mississippi Burning. And then what? Despicable Me universe film?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? Like what?
And the fugitive quote. I was like, how are you going to know which one? Like, that's super hard. Yeah.
It's a huge discrepancy, man. Like, and my girlfriend made this comparison last night. She was like, well, sometimes those 2-pointers, because I heard one of the 2-pointers. I was like, that's really easy. That sounds like a round one. She's like, well, that's kind of what it's meant to be. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're right. And it used to be 1 point. So that makes sense. That's a fair argument. And I see my case.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, man. There was like some half pointers in there. And then there was some 9-pointers in there. I was like, what in the world is going on here? I was shocked. I was all over the place in terms of who. It was all of them.
Yeah, super tough round one. Like I was not surprised that only Bibbs got a perfect round there. But yeah, obviously he's got the bonus point as well, so they've gone up 15-12 at the end of round one. But yeah, super hard round one, which I prefer. Not gonna lie, I prefer to push him early, get him out of the comfort zone, kind of dust the cobwebs off. But yeah, I was overall quite pleasantly surprised with how Shazam were playing. They did seem quite sharp because obviously I was worried about they haven't played, for nearly 8 months, no momentum, things like that. But yeah, they did seem quite sharp, particularly Bibbs. So yeah, I was like, okay, we're in for a tough match here. So yeah, really good round one. I was super impressed.
Shazam must have listened to us on the live show, specifically me, and they were like, "Oh, momentum.
Yeah,
you want momentum." Just squash that. Just crush that real quick. Because it didn't matter. They made their own momentum. That's something that's been talked about in sports right now. Is with no fans, it's very hard to pull energy. You got to create your own energy right now, and it's just the same thing here. Same thing here. You don't have the energy of the live crowd. Even in the studio, there's still something to be said from those hooligans getting hammered on a Friday night, drinking shitty pizza and 24 packs of beer and doing some movie trivia. You still get a rise off of a little Meryl Streep, right? And so like that, it gets you going. But here, Bibbs just found it. He found that energy. He passed it along to the kid because, man, the kid's hard on himself. I noticed that. That's another big takeaway for me today, and kind of scratching off another thing that I was looking for from the kid, and it was a little bit of self, if that makes sense, because his entire time in the league, at least, just perspective, he's been tied to Bibbs. His entire storyline since he was brought in has been, "Hi, Mr. the Beast. My name's Brendan. I'm the kid." And that's been the gag. And now the gag is finally, it's come to fruition, and Shazam's the real deal. And Shazam's going to have a real shot here because, they play off each other really well. And we're going to see that in round two because, I wish, part of me wishes that because Final Exam first lands on John Hughes, right? And then they spin away to Sly and Arnie. Sly and Arnie is such a dangerous category. Because it is one of the more, it's not concise because it's also broad at the same time. You know exactly what movies you're dealing with, but we could be all over the place here. Like we're going Kindergarten Cop, and then we could be going Jingle All the Way. Shout out to Jingle All the Way. But you could realistically go from a very wide variety of films. It's almost like the inner geekdom category where it is such a vast different spectrum of films. John Hughes I just felt like was the ticket. There was something when I saw I was like, oh, they're going to take this. There's no way these two dudes don't take John Hughes. Like there's just a vibe about the John Hughes category. I felt it, and they spun away. I was like, oh no, this is. I had a bad vibe. But they struggled a bit. And like a couple of those questions struggled a bit. It's 21-15 after they finish their questions, and then they throw it over. They throw it over to Shazam, and then Shazam is able to get one of them, and it's 21-16.
Yeah, one steal.
And then they end up spinning. Shazam ends up spinning Westerns.
Yeah.
Which John Rocha loses his collective mind in the chat because they spin away. And then they end up landing on the second Westerns category, Clint Eastwood movies. So it's like Westerns-ish. And they weren't too happy about it, but I think even Shazam would say if you told them where they were at the end of round 2, they'd be pretty shocked. I don't think you would have them up. Was it 24-22?
Yeah,
or 20. That's pretty impressive. Like that's impressive. Like for both of these teams to be where they're at the end of round 2 after feeling not too confident in their categories. Like we said at the beginning, this was just a great match. Like it wasn't. No one ever felt like they were. No one was ever 7 points ahead in this match, right? Like that it was something we saw a couple times this week with some of the play-in matches was the better player prevailed and made themselves be known. It wasn't a lot separating these two teams. And that when you get down, like my favorite part about the Schmoedown is that if you miss two questions in round 1, maybe one question in round 2, and if it's just a multiple choice, you can get them to the 5-pointer. Hit the rest of your questions, make them make their 5-pointer. And that's constantly what keeps happening here. And these teams are they're getting better and better, man. And that's one thing. There used to be more holes in these teams. The holes they're just not there anymore. So going into round 3, I was losing faith in round 2 for my pick and final exam, and I knew it. I kind of felt it. Had you felt it at that point that you might have made the wrong call yet, or were you still confident?
I felt it earlier, to be honest with you. The way, the vibe and the energy that Shazam had, I thought, oh, okay, I really liked it. I really liked the kind of back and forth. Also, in between kind of the round 2s and when the managers come in, when you guys have previously actually mentioned Coy and his energy, I've understood what you meant, but I didn't. I was telling a little white lie. Like I didn't totally agree. I wasn't totally with you guys. I saw what you meant, but I didn't really think that was the actual the best way to go about things. Because at the end of the day, the Quirky Mercs are towards the bottom of the league. They didn't have many wins. I just never believed in it fully. But this is a match where I've fully on board with Coy and how his personality comes. Like it made me feel like Shazam are like a threesome, and like he was completely involved with their decision making and just kind of helping with their energy and their overall kind of way about discussing. It felt like they were in, like the three of them were discussing as opposed to maybe
family.
It felt like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it felt like.
Imagine that at a live event. Hey, Coy, if you want an idea, everyone, if you want an idea, all of you come out at a live event wearing the different color Shazam shirts. That would be pretty lit. Yeah, not gonna lie. And then if one of you is gonna have a Black Adam shirt on underneath. Look, I'm just saying. I don't write this stuff. I just watch from my couch.
Already on it.
Like just saying. You can have the idea for free. Is what I'm saying. And I'm with you, man, because it's infectious.
Yeah, it is.
Koi is infectious. Like it's a vibe. Like,
it won me over today. Like
it's a whole vibe,
pep
man.
Talk, great communication. Like it just, I was super impressed by that.
He's been watching Winston.
Probably, yeah.
You could tell he's been watching Winston. Went back and probably didn't watch some of his own stuff. I don't think Koi's got enough time in his life to do that. But I think he probably watches live Schmoedowns. And Winston's been it. He's been, it's Winston, and we talked to Rocha about it. It's Gucci. There's two ways to go. You can coach. You could really coach, and then you can be a friend, or you can just be the silent Snoke, right? You can be Snoke in the background,
or you can meet Shannon as well, to be fair. Shannon's like an arm round the player type approach.
She's like Mickey.
Yeah.
Shannon's like Mickey. Shannon fucking pull you over. She'll be like, hey, Rock,
she's there, you know, like clapping, winding up the other player, that kind of thing. Yeah, some players
which is a bit Winston-y as well. Winston will do that too, and that's what I love about both of them is that they will pour some salt on a wound, and Coy ain't having that. Like Coy's got like Logan fast healing regeneration, where even when there's a wound, it just heals up really quick, and you can't hurt him.
Yeah,
he's already good. He's on top of it. He's already moved on to the next thing, and that paid off today because there were a lot of times in this match where Shazam could have faltered. The kid could have gotten in his own head. It happened at the beginning of round 3, but it happened at the beginning. In round 2, right? And at the beginning of round 3, when he said, "I don't want to be the reason." Like, and he's seeing a sense of self-doubt, and Beast even goes, "No, dude, I'll take
you know
this.
what? You know what? I like that. I like that because he's thinking a step ahead or 2 steps ahead. Like,
he was thinking about the whole game.
Then we can still keep staying in it, you know, still stay that kind of thing. So I do like that stepping ahead. But yeah, it is a little bit maybe too cautious. I get that.
It's probably one of the things that wouldn't have been said out loud in a studio match. That's you know, probably one of those hush things. Really, that other than that, round 3 was fire. Like, what more do you want? That's what we keep backtrack.
Yeah.
Go to a 5-pointer, and the kid with one of the best pulls, like on that 3-pointer. Oh man, I mean, and everyone I think in the room was kind of shocked.
Bibiani didn't know, right? He didn't.
He didn't know. Yeah, he was like, "Ah, shit," which in turn was perfect. That Bibbs then talked the kid into his confidence. You know, he pepped him up. He gave him a solid pep talk mid-match, and for for your teammate to be able to do that's important. It's the trust in the middle of a match for Bibbs to be able to say, "No, man, I'm gonna take this because I like dance movies. You don't know them. We're gonna take this because I know it, and we're gonna get the points." That's
Colin,
that's an all-time move.
My only issue with that, yeah, absolutely, I completely agree. That was great communication between them two. But from the other team's perspective, the final exam guys, I did think, why are they letting them get away with this? Like, they're having a full-blown conversation for 30 seconds. Oh no, like giving him a pep talk, saying, "No, do you feel strong at this?" No. Like, if I was Paul, I'd be like, no, we need an answer. Like, at least give him a countdown, or because they were going for about more than 30 seconds back and forth. Like, which one shall we take?
It did feel a little long.
It doesn't happen in a studio match, right? He goes, who's having it? A quick 5-10 second discussion. Then they say, okay, he's having it. They don't go back and forth. Oh no, I don't feel confident. None of this. So I was looking for maybe Paul or Lon maybe say, come on, speed this up. No countdown, no anything. So because that talk definitely helped, I thought. Because they worked out the right way to go about it from there. So it was a little bit long for me for the final exam side of things. But
yeah, because if you look at it, the argument at 15 seconds, you'd think that Brendan's going to make his case. And he's going to take the 2-pointer, right? So, I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows Honey. I knew Jessica Alba. My girlfriend didn't know Jessica Alba. I was like,
really?
hey.
No, I thought everyone knew that. I thought
that's what I said. That's exactly
it's like a big dance movie, right?
You hear
like,
that guy? You hear that guy? Look at Bogz right there. Look at that. That's the face of a man who also knew that Jessica Alba was in Honey. All right.
I mean, everyone was right. There was a lot of dance movies back then. Like You Got Served and Honey and these kind of movies. Save the Last Dance. They all came around that time. Yeah. I mean, they all came around them mid 2000s, like early 2000s time, right? Like I know all them movies. Yeah,
it's like it was the golden age of movies that could, movies that were the entire budget was paid for by the royalties of the soundtrack. It's like the soundtrack was so
DVD
good.
Sales, yeah.
The DVD sales end up being so good. Like totally squash, man. I think we're probably better at dance movies than we give ourselves credit for. There are a lot of them coming up in the time.
Yeah.
But man, final exam, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed because I had a lot of chips on final exam. Just the craps table. I had a lot of chips on them, and I lost, and I lost that bet, and I was kind of riding.
And the 5-pointer, I did find it was hard because you're only really going to know that if you've really recently watched it, because like there are a lot of them kind of movies around the early 90s. Like from them characters, I didn't know off the top of my head which, like that could have been from, obviously the answer was Menace to Society. They could have been from Juice. They could have been from Boys in the Hood. Could have
Juice
been from Dead
Boys in the Hood was my guess, but I knew it wasn't Boys in the Hood because that's too easy.
Yeah, like, it was like one of these kind of 4 or 5 movies because they're all between like 91 and 94.
You want to talk about the same kind of movies that came out in a 4-year stretch.
Yeah, and the character names as well. So it was like, oh, it was one of them. Unless you knew that character's name was in that, then yeah, it was a good guess, but obviously they didn't get it. So yeah, I was a bit. I would have obviously, just for the drama's sake, would have liked to see Shazam try and get the 5-pointer. But you know what? To be honest, I ain't gonna lie. Obviously, we didn't pick Shazam to win, but overall, I would say they were probably the deserved winners. I love their communication, the way they played, how much they knew. So yeah, I was fully impressed with them, to be honest with you. So I wasn't expecting them to do as good. That was probably my, oversight. But yeah, no, they played awesome. And I'm worried for who's the boss because Shazam, and now they've got the experience of playing in that digital match. Like we don't know how Ben and Mark are going to play in their first match. So yeah, I was super, super impressed with Shazam.
Shazam was also playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. I don't know how much of the other shows that you caught this week that Shazam was on.
Yeah.
Bibbs is pissed.
Yeah.
This is the hardest any team that lost a title shot has had to work to get back to a number one contenders match. This is the hardest any team has ever been. There's no precedent for it not just being already who's the boss versus Shazam. Shazam felt like all these matches were dumb and that they should have just been playing who's the boss. And then the winner of the tournament plays. Yeah. I'm surprised I haven't even thought, that we hadn't thought of that or brought it up. Like that's unbelievably I don't know if it's
we did, to be honest with you. We did it like about 6-7 episodes ago. Like God. I noticed that straight away. I thought, why is Shazam not even playing who's the boss? They should, okay, fair enough, playing an elimination match, but yeah, like they should have definitely
put them straight into that slot, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But
now,
momentum wise, it works out.
You want to talk about momentum? Put Paul Oyama in that team's tournament. Yeah. I'll show you momentum. That's pissed off kid. Did you see his face?
Yeah.
You saw that face
when
he heard that question? Oh my God. And dude, he wanted to break his headset. Like I don't know if you know who Steve Spurrier is, the old American football coach. He used to coach my South Carolina Gamecocks. He'd be notorious for having the headset on his head
and throwing it
and just spiking that bitch.
I've probably seen a meme.
Spiking that shit. And he'd be notorious because he'd have the thing on the back. He'd have the thing on the backpack, the mic pack. Mm-hmm. And then the whole thing, and he'd be like dragged down to the ground with it too. And that's how I just wanted to see Paul just spike that thing against the wall because I was just as angry because when he said juice, I was like, that's right. That's it. What a pull. And even Lon was like, oh my God, what a pull. That could totally be it. And then I saw it on Christian's face the second let me play poker with Christian Harloff. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. He's got a couple tells. If you watch just his face, he's got a couple tells. But that being said, the score is 29-27. And that's an unbelievable match. And like we said, you take somebody the 5-pointer, but you unfortunately Final Exam did not force Shazam to answer their 5-pointer. Which is something as of late Schmoedown teams and competitors have been holding against their opponents. You got to answer those 5-pointers if you haven't answered those 5-pointers. But I got no worries about Bibbs. A 5-pointer to Bibbs, it's kind of like it's kind of like a 3-pointer. I kind of feel like he's, it's just like his brain just works in a different way. It's a different way. And Brendan's the same because that kid's pulling some stuff out of his head that I was like, good night, nurse. Where did that come from, man? Like, I can't get over that 3-point pull. The 3-point pull, and then
there was one before that in round two.
Round two, yeah.
Which Bibbs didn't know. One of the Clint Eastwood ones who played his wife.
His wife.
Middle, I think. Yeah. And like
you had to have just seen it, right? You had to. It's same thing as the fight. You're not gonna Mule. I didn't go see Mule. I know it's not. I know I'm not the demographic for Clint Eastwood movies. Like I'm
it's honestly the overall. I mean, it just super confirms everyone's kind of predictions where they're both going far in these tournaments, and I. Definitely, the Burning Jews are going to climb up this league. How far? I don't know. Obviously, they can go on a little run here in the teams, and in these singles tournaments, they can definitely leapfrog all these lower teams and definitely push for fourth.
You mean the Mercs?
Sorry, I mean the Mercs. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Either way, they're all at 9 points. So I mean, they're all down
they're
there.
leapfrogging all these. Yeah, they're gonna go past all these. Like I said, I think they're looking on the Den's tails. Not sure if they can push for third. I think currently is I think it will be obviously
Swag is in third.
Swag,
place.
Yeah, will probably be third
Corruption
now. So
2, Finstock,
yeah, I think because they're
1.
like 20 points behind now. It'll be interesting to see how close they can get to that. But obviously they're playing. They've got players playing as well, so they'll be picking up points. But definitely Den at the fourth. I think they're only 5 or 6 points ahead, so they'll definitely be on their tails. They better watch out because obviously these guys are going into singles tournaments now. So yeah, I'm expecting them to fly up that league table.
Just one comment. Bibbs's camera angle was like really throwing me off.
It's like, into like Doctor Strange or something.
It was nice when he was like in the corner for most of the match. He was over like in the left corner, and then when they backed everybody out, Christian put him in the middle, and it just looked kind of weird that he was just like coming out of the middle of the screen. But it kind of worked. It's like when you put a GIF, when you put a GIF in your Instagram story, and you can like line up the person's body to like make it look like half their body's not there. Bibbs kind of made the angle work, check him out like he hit them angles.
Awesome.
Bibbs was hitting them angles. Pretty good. But we want to talk about the Mercs for a second before we get into the championship match. Huge opportunity there in that Kevin Smith match. Like, I mean, you want the Mercs to make a move. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's just to put the name out there because, like you said, they're out there at the bottom. I'm gonna keep making my relegation fight though, because wouldn't it be sick?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't it be sick if all these teams were fighting to not get broken up?
Yeah,
I think that'd be nuts. These guys are like in the singles tournament. They're like, I don't want to lose my
risk. Would there be? Yeah, I'd love that.
All the memes. Oh, could you imagine the memes? Who's in last place right now? It's gotta be. Let's see, faction.
It's usual suspects, I think.
Usual suspects.
But there's a few right on the bottom.
Yeah, right. So it's Burning Droogs and Usual Suspects tied at 9. Could you imagine the Kid Knapsocks memes of being like, "Oh, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go." And it's just them disappearing. Like that's they're there for days. Yeah. And I don't know. I just think it provides some because right now, as a fan, I'm kind of bored with if you're a competitor, what are you playing for this season? You got to have something to play for. It's kind of now we got to talk about the draft. Is the worst team going to get the first pick in the draft? Is it going to be the NFL style? Is it, where the worst record gets the first pick?
Well, I believe they already have that because of that trade that happened. Obviously, Rob Burnett done that trade with Ethan. So I believe they have that first trade regardless. Sorry, the first pick.
And it's just kind of, it just puts everything in a little bit of an interesting, place where, it adds a different wrinkle to stuff. And, it adds a different perspective. It could give the players a different perspective of something to root for. There's not just because there's no trophy, right? They're at the top of this. There are various belts, but there is no like faction title.
Yeah.
Right. At least for right now. I mean, it's invisible and it's owned by Gucci. But But speaking of perspectives, we're missing one of our own this week. We miss him. He's working hard out there, making sure everybody's got what they need. But we're going to pass it over to the West Coast, and we're going to see what Mr. John Barr thought about that first round. John, take it away.
Okay, so all I need to do is bait it with a nice warm meal, and then when he shows up, I can yank the string and, oh! Hey, gang, what's up? I'm John, and I'm not building a lawn hair trap. Nah. Let's talk about the Schmoedown, huh?
The first match to talk about was the undercard match between Shazam and Final Exam. A really good teams match. I definitely think these team matches have been getting progressively better and better as we get closer to the actual team's title contention belt match tournament match. I was a little bit surprised by how Oyama was looking in that first round. He was a little bit shaky. Brendan Meyer, it did seem like he had to kind of shake off that ring rust a little bit. And if you were to tell me that only one competitor of these four, who are all good, only one of them got a perfect first round, it wouldn't surprise me that it did turn out to be William the Beast Bibiani, setting up Shazam for a lovely round two. Both teams then managed to have a pretty solid second round. Final Exam had a slightly better one, which they needed, quite frankly, to kind of close that lead. that they had let themselves be overtaken by in the first round. But certainly Shazam played well in the second round as too. I don't want to make it sound like they were not playing great also. I was a little bit surprised with how many repeats they were using on the Korean-Vietnam War question between those two options, especially because at the end of the day it was 1 point, which, I mean, they were playing a very defensive game, which I could definitely understand from a tactical perspective. But again, so many repeats on what would ultimately be 1 point, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But it wound up okay. Round 2, Shazam still had a 2-point lead. I'm going to burp, and I'm sorry about it. Round 3. We had a lot of correct answers from round 3. All 4 competitors got their individual questions right as it was bouncing back and forth. But then that 5-pointer for final exam, they weren't quite able to get it, which means that Bibiani and the kid, Shazam, managed to win the match. I did not think that was going to happen, so once again, I am forced to add another egg atop my face as far as my predictions go. But it was definitely an entertaining match. Final exam and Winston Marshall don't have anything to hang their heads about. Coy and Shazam do have something to pat themselves on the back for, but definitely don't get too cozy, gentlemen, because now you got to face who's the boss, and also the Quirky Mercs really need some points. So congratulations to both teams on a well-played match.
John, thanks, man. We miss you. We're going to see you back here next week as we break down the singles, and we're going to get your take later too on the championship match. So John will be back later on in the show. All right, man. This is it. Hoo-wee. I woke up. I played. I was getting hyped to the Jaws music. I was man. It's it. This is it. Like I can't think of anything else other than this is Rocky versus Apollo. This is the top of the. This is it. This is the heavyweight. This is truly the peak of what you want to be as a competitor. If you're these people playing in the play-in matches this week, I really hope you're watching this match. Like, I hope you're watching every second of this match because you can learn something here. This is the way you play the game. Mm-hmm. You play the game this way. You get rattled. You pick yourself back up. Master Bruce, why do we fall? So we can pick ourselves back up. And it's simple. And that's what happened over and over and over again in this match. I thought these dudes were falling. I thought there was ample opportunities for some kidney shots. They were never given. This was I don't even know how to. Every punch that was thrown was nullified. There was nothing was hitting, nothing was landing. Everybody just had their guard up the entire time, and it was one punch.
Like a defensive display, wasn't it?
Oh, it's like watching. It was like watching Floyd. Yeah. It's like watching Floyd just sit back there, and it was like watching Floyd play Floyd, just sitting back there dancing behind his hands. And pretty much. Yeah, which just again, you're gonna have a lot of people that be like, "Hey, Colin, shut the." What do you know about boxing? That's real boxing right there, man. Like, he wins. You see all that money. Like, I hear that to a point, but at the same time, I want to watch somebody punch somebody. That's why I watch boxing. So, let's start at the top. Mm-hmm. If I have a list of four people that have ever been in the Schmoedown that are, my list of most entertaining, Bobby Gucci's at the top. Always at the top. And Sam Levine. I mean, that's a working man. That's a real working actor right there. That's an inglorious one. That's the inglorious one himself. That's a former champion. Mm-hmm. These guys put on a show, man. These dudes, they love each other. You can tell that they're homies. You can tell that Bob really loves Sam and Sam rides the bid out for Gucci, because there are some other people that would not put up with Gucci in a title match like this. Yeah. Shannon would not be having this. Like, next week, if he shows up to the Founding Fathers corruption match in some outfit like this, Shannon will destroy him. But for the sake of last night, that was amazing. He comes in full the Count of Gucci Cristo. It's so perfect, man. It's so good.
I mean, we entered the Gucciverse, is I love it, man. I love the confidence, the obviously
talk about swag.
Swag, yeah.
Talk about swag.
No doubt, man. Looking sharp, something different. wearing some, I don't know if he's made that himself or he's bought that or what's going on there, or that was like a donation or whatever. But there was like some Halloween costume. I
think Lon might have found it on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's probably like a sleeping bag that he just cut open or something. But no, I loved it, man. Like, keep that up. That is looking sharp, looking slick, loving the confidence. Like, I think that just helps with his player, you know. It just gives him that extra, you know, has that aura about him, and it kind of reflected onto his player, you know, because you know, he will just get therefore like big his player up and tell him how good he is, you know, and how, you know, this is the Finstock Exchange. All we do is win. We're not worried about anyone else. You know, people are chasing us, you know, and he's got the swagger. And yeah, it's all part of the aura, man. Like, I absolutely loved it. Like, I'm fully into that. So yeah, bring it on. What you got next week?
Dude, I mean, could you imagine? Like, I want to be in the room when Bobby enters the call. Right, because there's a pre-production meeting like we have, right? So then all of a sudden Bob pops in and somebody sees him first. Somebody sees what he's wearing first, and somebody cracks. And then it pops up, and it keeps popping up. It pops up again. Or from what I've heard, so this is a bit of inside baseball.
Yeah.
On the improv show The League, there's a character named Andre. And he would come in wearing various outfits that the cast would make fun of. I didn't know this when I originally watched the show, but the cast never saw him in the outfits until he came into the bar scenes. And so everything was
like genuine.
It was genuinely rambling on the guy.
Yeah.
I think he shows up to the pre-production meetings in like a blank white t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then he just pops in and he's like, oh, hello, it is me. And you're like, oh my God, this is everything. All of that is before the match. And so I'm already riding this high of like, this is peak content. We're already an hour and 54 minutes in.
He had the jacket, plus he's obviously got, you know, he's got like a, you know, bald head, right? And he's playing with that ball, like that mystic ball. I was like, this guy's awesome, man. It's like watching some improv thing. Like, yeah. Like, it was like being on stage, like watching some theater.
If you're Skybound Entertainment,
I'd sign him up there, like, now.
Right now. Like, I'm putting the trademark on it. Like, the Gucci verse, like I'm putting the trademark on the Bobby Gucci verse. And I'm like, unfortunately, he made that Lil Bobby and the Juice thing, which may put him on a future list of you can't live this far away from an elementary school, possibly at some points. But that's, just saying. But other than that, Bob's got a pretty clean slate. So going into this match, he's riding high. He's got the guy. He's got the best player on the planet. Literally the best player of all time. He's the head of the Mount Rushmore. He's the George Washington of the freaking Schmoedown. But going up against him is a titan in his own right. Is Etahn Big Time Erwin. I mean, the big time comes to play. And I remember that they cut back to in the promo of when Christian first introduces Etahn, and he says something to the effect of like, y'all gotta watch out. Remember the name. Is this guy? He smells like a champion. And I remember that and being like, there's always been this kind of aura around people who are in the business. And we talked about this last night on the show. People who are in the business have a certain understanding of a certain side that's just that you just know just from being a part of it. And then there's a certain side of like the inner geekdom stuff that probably handles, if you're in the fandom side of stuff, right? If you're in the covering side of stuff, you probably, a little more in on the deeper knowledge, the deep cuts of, the actual, plot device of the movie and stuff. Etahn has filled in those gaps and has truly become a merge of those two. I used to think he's a complete player. I used to think Etahn was just, he got by on, singles is very easy to be an Etahn type level player, to be a max level player, and Etahn could show up, have a bad day, and still win a belt. Yeah, that's the type of guy he is. And it almost happened. It almost happened last night. Round one, Ethan's got to be sitting there. If I'm Etahn, and it's the end of round one, this is my script. This is the script for how things go right. Like, it seems to be most of this match, for at least. It's exactly how Etahn would want to handle it. But then on the opposite side, it's exactly how Dan would have said he should have rebounded. And Dan rebounds perfectly. I think Dan handled himself like a champ all night. You fall down, you pick yourself back up. But neither of us did our homework. We showed up to class today. And we just didn't do our homework. But you know who did do their homework? Mr. John Barr. So we're going to throw one more time over to John Barr. He's going to give us the stats breakdown of this championship match, folks. So, John, take it away, bud.
Of course, the main event, the title match, the third showdown between Dan Murrell, the then defending belted champion, and Etahn Erwin, the number one contender, trying to take that belt back from Dan. It was an incredible match. What else were you going to expect? I think everyone knew that this was going to be a wild time, and that is exactly what it was. And boy, howdy, was it a good kind of wild, like the Rugrats Go Wild film. A very good movie. I'm going to talk about this match in the only way I know how, with statistics and cold, hard numbers. So round one, eight questions, so 8 possible points, not including a bonus question if we had gotten a perfect round from either competitor, but we did not. Dan managed to get 6 points, and Etahn managed to get 7. Dan missed 2 questions. The first question with pain and gain in the other guys, which I would have missed as well. And then also the Black Sheep Tommy Boy question, whereas Etahn missed the Paranorman Early Man Animation Man. Etahn, I want to shake you. I want to shake you and just tell you there's so many good animated movies, bud. You could even just watch Lego Movie a whole bunch of times. That'd be great. You'll have a good time. Then we have round 2. Etahn spun away from movie release dates and got Spike Lee. He got 4 out of a possible 8 points. He did miss 2 questions. One was a multiple choice question, and then a 2-pointer with the Clockers Ulcers question, which Dan was not quite able to steal, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit later. But first, let's just mention that Dan Murrell, he got fantasy sci-fi, and he got 5 out of a possible 8 points for his second round, so 1 better than Etahn, and he also managed to get a 1-point steal. That said, I did want to mention that Clocker steal, because that was a potential 2 points that Dan could have also then gotten. He did not get, and because he didn't get that, what's interesting is that Etahn actually got a higher percentage of questions correct in this match. He got 81.25% of his questions correct, whereas Dan Murrell got 78.79%. Did that indicate how the match actually went? You probably know if you're watching this, so I don't know why I'm being coy about it, but just call me the manager of the Quirky Mercs, I guess, because I'm going to keep playing coy, just not nearly as jacked. So definitely 2 incredible second rounds from both of these competitors, and at the end of the second round, 12-12, tied up. It's what we like to see. Round 3, movie release dates. I'm sure Colin said it the way that Scott Mant says it, so I'm not going to do it. I just want to talk about Top Gun. Both Dan and Etahn knew the date that it came out. However, Dan, oh no, my body. Dan bet 2 points and got it, whereas Etahn only bet 1 point and got it. Definitely a category that Etahn seems a little bit iffy on, which I am surprised by. I kind of associate that as a category that just generally all of the greats are good at, but it was interesting to see, and obviously I'm not here to act as if Ethan's not good at the game. That would be ridiculous. But after round 3 was all said and done, Dan Murrell was back up by 1 point, 14-13. Then we get into round 4, the speed round, where after that we wind up in another gosh dang tie situation with both competitors at 23 points. Etahn got all 10 of his questions correctly, whereas Dan Murrell only got 9. He did pass on the last one, which was the They Live question, but he didn't miss it, though. He just passed on it and didn't know. He passed on it originally and then didn't have enough time to get to it before the clock ran out. That was still useful, though, because it means he didn't lose a point on trying to just quickly spit out a number that may or may not have been correct, and that means that he was just tied up as opposed to down by 1 going into round 5. And ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't you know it, at the end of round 5, we were still tied. Both competitors hit their 2-pointers and their 3-pointers, but both missed their 5-pointers, both of which were suitably tough for 5-point questions, and I don't think anyone's going to think lesser of either competitor for not hitting those 5-pointers because they were toughies. But that means, a couple of us thought it was coming. I certainly thought it was. Sudden death. We really went down to the wire with this match. 5 total sudden death questions were asked. Both competitors missed the Peyton Manning and Ferdinand question, which, even as someone who was just singing the praises of animation, that might be the toughest question in Schmoedown history. I don't think anyone would have gotten that, and quite frankly, I don't think anyone's going to remember it now that the match is done. But then Dan Murrell hit the 10 things I hate about you question, and if there's any takeaway from this match, I guess it's 3 things. Number 1, Dan Murrell is considered the greatest of all time for a reason. Number 2, Dan Murrell and Mark Knopic are adorable as all get out. And number 3, everyone should watch the film 10 Things I Hate About You. It's very good. It's just a good time. Watch that movie. I know it's not animated, but still, I'm going to sell it. This was an incredible pay-per-view. Quite honestly, I think it's my favorite of these at-home pay-per-views that we've had so far. It was just incredible all the way around, especially with that third entry into the Dan Murrell versus Etahn Erwin canon. I mean, what else were you expecting? These are 2 guys that, whatever the heck the criteria are for getting on the Schmoedown Mount Rushmore, I don't think anyone's ever said exactly what qualifies the person to be on there. But odds are, depending on what the factors are, there's a strong argument that both those guys belong up there. Quirky Mercs saw themselves up 2 points with their win with Shazam. So they're kind of out of the doghouse, moving above the dungeon, Usual Suspects, and the Burning Droogs, which was huge for them. And again, like I said, we'll see how they fare against Who's the Boss and the Finn Stock Exchange, who, speaking of, are up 3 points. They are now tied for that number 1 spot in the rankings with Corruption, who they are going to be playing in next week's event. Next week is going to be huge for the Finn Stock Exchange. It's going to be huge for the Quirky Mercs. It's going to be huge for Corruption. It's going to be rather big for everyone. So thank you guys so much for watching the Ultimate Schmoedown Show. Thank you so much for watching me talk about it without my dear boys and girl beside me. I talk a lot, and I'm sorry. And the episode isn't over, so keep watching Colin and Bogz.
John, dude, you're awesome. Thanks so much, dude. Let's I just can't believe how tight this match was constantly the entire time. I mean, if you're not entertained by this, get out of here. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, it's 7-6 at the end of round 1. It's 12-12 at the end of round 2. I mean, what more do you want? There's steals, right? I mean, we got steals going back and forth. You got champs stealing champs. You got things going all over the place. Ethan ends up spinning movie release dates. And then Dan spinning away from courtroom and legal dramas, getting fantasy sci-fi. That fantasy sci-fi category is so broad. It could just be so... It could hit inner geekdom, but then could also get me on some like David Lynch Dune stuff. And you're just like, oh, get me out of here. Like, run. And I'm just like, some of it's just, I don't know how they're pulling. And Dan really held his own. I thought Dan was really, I think the questions punched Dan. Sometimes that can happen. Sometimes your opponent punches you in the Schmoedown, and sometimes a question just kind of hits you in the kidney. And you just got, oh, geez, what? Yeah. What'd you say? You asked what now? And you might not even like heard of the movie. That happened a couple times to Brendan. Brendan's like, I don't even know this movie. Like, I'm sorry, never heard of it before. Yeah. Obviously, probably not going to be the case in a championship bout. These guys, a little more polished than the average player. In round 2, I was honestly expecting Ethan to crush that straight through and be up. But the fact that it's tied, and then round 3, I'm totally off guard. I can't believe Ethan wouldn't have just gone full tilt with Dan. That was one of the points of the match where I was kind of like, oh, really? That if you would have told me that the difference would have been made in the betting round, I don't think that's where I would have really seen the biggest point differential box.
Yeah, probably not. Movie release dates, either. I think that's the category where you're either it's either you're strongest or you're kind of just as good as everyone else, if that makes sense. So so obviously, you know, Dan got a couple of steals there and stuff, but yeah, just overall, I mean, I just love that it was tight. You know, I didn't have a particular kind of horse going into this race. I did back down to win, but I wasn't, you know, I was just happy watching two heavyweights, you know, two elite players kind of box a defensive display. Like you said, obviously it's not, you know, you want to see a slugfest, but we kind of it was like
easily could also be seen as a slugfest.
It wasn't like it
could be seen as a slugfest either way. You know, it's just perspective. Yeah, it's just perspective, and I think that has more to do with the attitude of these two players, right? If this was Ben Bateman going against Paul Oyama, we probably would have seen this as a slug, as a slugfest, just from their personality. But the way these two are so reserved, you're right. It felt defensive. It felt like everybody was on the back end, but I hear you.
We're just going into round 3 then. It was obviously the spun release dates again. So this is where I love the tactics from the Finstock guys, using the code words to establish that's what it's about, man. I love that. I love the tactics. Like, these are the kind of stuff that, okay, we've planned this. Okay, we're using this code words, this means this, etc. So I absolutely love that. Erwin's with exactly. Yeah, Erwin's so Erwin, obviously Sam were like, yeah, we know what we're doing. That's cool. Okay, but I just love the extra finesse that they put on top of it, where, okay, we're doing this, code words. Okay, so they've gone to the extra level of practice. So because that can rattle you, as a player, you're thinking, okay, what the hell,
January?
Yeah.
What the January Jones? What?
January, May. I was on May, April. Okay.
May.
Yeah, I love that. What? And I was obviously they've gone with the Top Gun question, which wasn't the hardest question in the world. And I was surprised to see that they've only gone for one. Ethan on Ethan's side. So obviously he's not had the strongest release dates round. He said he was comfortable with it, but I would have thought I was surprised. I thought they'd go for 3. I thought they'd go all out. You're playing against Dan Murrell for the title, everything on the line. Put it on. Be confident. And obviously that wasn't the case. They've gone with a more cautious route, which I completely understand as well. But I would have I put, like, before he put the number down, I would have said he's gone for 3. Which obviously Dan is tactical. He's gone for 2. I wasn't too surprised at that, but I was more surprised at Ethan not going for 3.
If I'm Christian and I wrote this match, and I wrote this because, the Schmoedown is thought to exist in some forms.
Yeah.
This is how I'd write it. This is exactly how I'd write it. It's tied after round 2. Someone takes the lead in round 3. Yeah. It's tied after round 4.
Yep.
It's tied after round 5.
Exactly.
You literally cannot write this shit. Like, some of this stuff is just like the way this match unfolded. It's like there's the last 2 minutes of a basketball game when you're just watching it. Like, I get the whole, like, TV, it takes too long because free throws and some stuff, it can, it could slow down. The last round, the last bit of a Schmoedown, when it is the next person misses, like, that is some angst, and that's hard to create. Yeah, that's a sensation as a fan that's hard to replicate in outside of regular sports. And in terms of the emotion that people put into this as fans, like we do, we're very emotionally invested in this. Obviously, we sit on here and talk about it for a good bit of our week, and, like, we care about this, and to see these players care just as much. You see, man, I mean, come on, to get to that point in round 4 where I'm doing the math in my head and I jump up and down like a little kid on Christmas Day. They're tied. Like before they even said anything, before they cut away. Like,
I know, I saw you did. Yeah,
I was like, they're tied. Like, I was like,
I was trying to work it out slowly, like, because I was pretty sure Ethan got all 10, and I was trying to.
And I was rattling it with Dan. I was matching it up, and
you got it way before me. I was like,
they're tied. They're not. Like, oh my god, because we felt like there was, the first couple times they did it, it was a little not discrepancy, but there's a little. It took a little longer to get the results in because there were missed questions, and it was.
They did it quite quick this time.
It did it quite quick. Helps when you get everything right, and you only have to pass on one answer.
Right.
But after that, we're tied. It's tied ball game, folks.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what else do you want? It's round 4. We're going to the championship round here. And it's a tie ball game. And you got to be asking yourself, if you're Dan Murrell.
I'm just thinking, who's going to break?
You got to just shut down. I think you just shut down and you listen and you wait your turn. You just shut everything down, because right now I think they quit with the one thing I always appreciated about Dan, and this is no knock on what I'm about to say. Back in the day, I was not the biggest fan of the storylines and stuff. I was a trivia kid growing up. I was on Academic Bowl. I was, in middle school, I was answering, history questions and all that stuff. Like trivia is my jam.
Okay.
And Dan played trivia. Like Dan would come into the Schmoedown and just beat people with his brain. Has never had to out kayfabe someone. Has never had to get in somebody's head to win a match. Has always used his intellect to win.
Yeah.
And that was what we saw. We saw a return to that Dan.
Yeah.
He shut down. He wasn't playing the Schmoedown. He was like, I'm just answering these questions, and I'm using everything in my power, everything in his mind library. When Sherlock hits the mind library and he's going through and he's sorting through the books, Dan instead he's going through, he's sorting through all the Blu-rays and everything. It's amazing to watch. It's truly amazing to watch the best. When you talk about the best of what they do, right? You talk about the best. This is the best. I said it before. If you're in these playing matches, if you're a younger player, watch this match 4 times this week and tell me you're not a better player from watching how these guys handle the moment. Ethan never gets rattled after running through the speed round. There were times there where Ethan's like, pass, immediately. And then there were moments where you're like, what? Like, cool. And then he came back and answered it fine. Like Charlie Shea, exactly. Bud Fox, bam, nailed it. And that was the one I knew, like the one I knew, like, like right off the bat.
Right.
And there were moments when Dan was in the speed round and he seemed like it was taking an extra second. And because he went after, it almost felt like he was going to lose, not lose, but he was going to fall behind in the round just because of how well we had just watched Ethan handle it. And there were just a couple, moments there where Dan gave me a little bit of doubt where I was like, oh, Dan, are you okay there? But he handled himself like the champ. And passed on one question, went 9 for 10, didn't lose any points. We're tied going into round 5. Both of these guys nailed the 2 and the 3 and missed the 5. That's some of the hardest 5-pointers of this last night. All the way around. The 5-pointer that Paul and Lon got, and then both of these. To pull, I'm sitting there in my brain and you're thinking, all right, how does that question that gets asked to Ethan process in your brain?
Yeah.
3 people.
You would have had to know that from
3 people have ever done it, right? 3 people have ever had movies nominated for Best Director or Best Picture in the same year.
I think it was director.
Which director had movies nominated in the same year, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta be thinking that. So you're running that's a hard list. More or less just the directors who have had multiple movies nominated in the first place, more or less the same year. That's only probably a list of 25 filmmakers who have had multiple movies nominated for Academy Awards. And to narrow it down like that fast, that smelled to me like one of those questions where I know it's a championship round, and maybe this just might need to be a thing for the 5-pointer. If the 5-pointers are going to be like this, back in the day, Christian used to say, we're going to give you a little extra time on this one.
Yeah.
Just something like that. That's a hard.
Yeah, it was one of them type of questions.
It's not one where it was like, which 6 movies did this person appear in? Like, or how many appearances did Orlando Bloom have in the Lord of the Rings films? We're going to give you an extra 10 seconds on this one. Maybe not. But if you're going to do that randomly in like the second round, or like I've seen it done on a 3-pointer numerous times. A 3-pointer, I feel like it's notorious that they'll be like, here's a couple extra seconds because this is a longer answer. You got to give us multiple answers. Seems like the 5-pointer might be an opportunity. You drag it out a little more. Who doesn't like more drama? I just mentioned how a basketball game drags out. Shit, let's drag this.
That could be a question for the title.
Yeah,
give him extra few seconds.
We're on here too. You know, we're
it's
on
like
this.
An all-time question as well. Like you said, it's not like an Orlando Bloom or how many Lord of the Rings question. That's a short time span. You know, you can calculate that down. But this is like an all-time. You know, throughout history, how many directors?
That's the last question of Barr trivia. Like that's Barr trivia stuff. That's like we pay your tab if you answer this right. Like that's some serious stuff. Like that's a real question.
I mean, he used all his repeats, but it's not enough. It's not enough. You still need that extra,
because you have to use the repeat. You have to say it. You have to take the time, and you can instinctively know that you're anticipating on waiting for Christian to speak. So you're already losing 3 seconds of thought process, waiting on Christian to say. I mean, we could get into the details here. That's what we do here. This is the Ultimate Schmoedown show. We get into the ultimate details of it. The brain processing there's not enough time. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot to be asking the brain to do, to know, like, it's got to be, I don't know, hold up a sign, JTE, like something. Like, there's got to be something quicker than, like, the internet. And we have this happen. We've been told this by our editor, that, like, when we talk, and sometimes we talk at the same time, the StreamYards tries to process the audio at the same time, and it sounds like Decepticons and Autobots having a Sunday afternoon picnic. And that's nobody's fault. But, like, when Christian is saying 5, 4. All right, now chime in at 1. Repeat the question. 3, 2, 1. Repeat. Right? Like, it's kind of like, right. There's that little gap there. There's a gap. It's already, so like, there's a gap there. And in the time that he's saying 5, he's saying that, like, it's louder in your head here than it is in the studio. It's more, it's all you can hear. And they're not, man, it's tough. It's tough. It's a lot of outside, entities could come in. A lot of outside evils could come in and try to penetrate, your holy Schmoedown temple that you try to build for yourself when you're competing at home. And man, Ethan did his damnedest, man. He tried so hard. All night you saw that Ethan was in the zone. There was no doubt that Ethan did not bring his best game aside from the movie release dates. That I think he might have found a hole that he thought wasn't a hole. It was just a little bit of a trap. It might be like a 3-foot hole. He could climb out of it. It's not going to be hard to climb out, but you got a little scrape, right? You got a little scrape on the knee because you fell in.
Yeah.
You'll be all right. You'll pick yourself back up. You'll be all right. But at least it wasn't – he didn't lose the match because of that. Let's say that. He did not lose the match because of his movie release dates, category. He was able to fight back from that and take it to OT. So let's talk about OT, Bogz, because, oh, my goodness. I mean, what more do you want, man? What more do you want?
6 questions in. I mean, we're going deep here. We could have went on. We could have still be going on now. If they didn't miss that one. But yeah, no, just awesome. I mean, I mean that they're even missing the same questions. It's. I mean, these are 2 people at the top of the game, top of the division. He's obviously pulled that one out. Him and Mara apparently is their song, so he knew that. So yeah, I felt a bit unlucky for him. But yeah, we're talking inches this way. And like you're saying about the release date situation, I think anyone else is probably enough to win. Like, you probably have enough knowledge to win that match.
Oh, Dan beats whoever else messes that category up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just against the champ. It's just not enough in terms of the win. So obviously, congrats to Dan, and you just had that little bit more in terms of that extra question. One thing that I want to say about this overall match, I mean, you touched on it earlier, that, and thinking about it throughout leading up to the whole week, that I think Ethan and Sam, I think they were a little too respectful of Dan. So I understand, yes, he's the best singles player of all time.
You want a fire. You want to see a fire under somebody's ass. And you want to see Ethan come at him.
Okay, so the losses that we've seen Dan have, these have been to players who literally think they are better than him. So I'm talking like, okay, maybe not the Guy situation, but he wasn't, Guy was not saying to him, oh, I'm playing the greatest of all time. I'm like, I don't remember him saying that anyway. Like, him being overly respectful of this situation. Yes, I understand he is. Yes, I understand he's a great guy and all that. But, Oyama thought he thinks he is a better player than Dan. and he wanted to, prove it. Like Rocha, he thinks he's a better player than Dan. So I want to see that player. I want to see him get rattled. Like, what are you going to be like when someone's putting it on him? Someone's trying to get under his skin. Someone's trying to rattle him, because Ethan was too nice to him overall. He didn't get him off his game enough.
They were just playing trivia.
They were being absolute gentlemen to each other, and being gentlemen to each other, which is fine. If you don't want to do that as a character, as a person, you don't want to go that way, that's fine. But you do what you have to do to win. Like Chandru's shown us the way. You do.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a total opposite of what we saw last week.
Exactly. I think even, and they'll get absolute praise for it, and I completely get that and I understand that. But at the end of the day, Ethan, I think in hindsight afterwards, you must be thinking, oh, I could have maybe done that just to wind him up a little bit, just to get him off his game. Like, how is he going to play when he's rattled? Like, we've all heard stories about after that Guy match, he stormed out the Collider Studios, and he was screwing at Christian and everything. Get him in that state, how's he going to play? If maybe it's a team situation, might be different. Maybe Rocha's got his back, that kind of thing. But in a singles match, anyone playing Dan Murrell, I would like to see them get under his skin. I mean, it would increase the drama, the excitement of it. I think he was just overall, they were both, because Sam said it so many times, even during the stream, Dan's a brilliant player, Ethan's a brilliant player, and that's great, and they're 100% correct. But is he going to be a brilliant player when his back
sitting on the couch like boring?
No. Okay, I'll be perfectly honest. I was on the edge of my seat for Chandru against Smets. So this match, I was just watching. Cool.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah. I was like, okay, these guys are just playing. I wasn't as gripped as I was
not until OT. Not until OT. Until the 5-pointers and OT. 5-pointers and OT, because it's kind of like, who else? Like we all kind of expected it. We all kind of expected it. Somebody was going to be even.
It felt like Dan was in control, and the Finstock guys were in control of this whole situation. They were playing within their safety net. They were playing within their own realm, and they didn't get pushed out of it. They never got forced or like they never got rattled at any stage. It was just all respectful. It was all too nice. It was all too nice. Exactly. They were in complete control. If that was me, I don't know. Obviously, I'm nobody. But if that was me, I'd be like, "What are you lot talking about?" I'd be trying to get under their skin, like at least try and throw them off some way, somehow.
But even if you tried, you weren't going to do it. They were so in the zone. They were so in their own thing. You're going to look like an idiot. They're going to make you look stupid. If you come after them in that moment, Bobby Gucci's going to tear you up. He's going to say, "Oh, you don't need to do that. Why do you care? Worry about your own game. Play your game. I'll play my game. You don't need to worry about what I'm doing." And then that rattles them back. So, I mean, that's another thing. And you talk about Sam. Sam might have known Sam can't tango with Bob. Like, and when it comes to, getting under skin, Sam might have, collected his fair share of Nazi scalps back in the war.
Yeah.
But this ain't Germany, Chief. This ain't Germany. This is the Schmoedown, and it's 2020. And Bobby Gucci runs train on how to troll. It's Bobby Gucci and Chandru the Chosen. That's it. And
like next time, honestly, anyone playing Dan next time, my 2 pence worth, my absolutely useless advice would be get under his skin. I'm a sports guy.
Talk shit.
As we've done, it's an absolute necessity against a champion. How are they going to play after they're rattled? You don't know. Like, we've not seen Dan play like that. We've seen him lose. We've seen an indication that players getting under his skin can equal to a loss. I'm not saying it's the way to play. If you don't want to do that, I understand, that's fine. But just give it a try. Let's see what happens. Don't
feed me the BS either of like only I can beat myself and that kind of BS. No.
You're not just going to.
You got to knock him down. You got to knock him down. You cannot walk into that match and be like, only person who's going to beat Dan today is Dan. No, that's not the case. The only person who could beat Dan yesterday was Etahn fucking Erwin, and he had the opportunity 3 times in that match. 3 times in that match, Etahn had huge opportunities. Movie release dates, he could have been up legitimately 3 points. He could have been up 3 more points out of that movie release dates, and he is kicking himself for it.
Yeah.
And he should have. I don't think he did. I don't think he allowed himself to kick himself. And there is something to be said of the competitors who pick themselves up mid-match. You got to be able to pick yourself up mid-match. And I don't think the way Etahn picked himself up, he didn't light himself on fire to blaze through the rest of the match. He had a lot of hard stuff thrown out. We can go back to that 5-pointer all day. The 5-pointer was gnarly. And then to lose to somebody because it's the song of that they fell in love with their partner with. I mean, come on, like you that's
it was nice.
That's like when it's like when Sam Witwer thought this whole game was rigged because he won on the Captain Nita, right? Or and he won on it, or he lost on it, and then he won on it. Like it was like basically the same, not the same question, but it was asking for the same answer. And he looks around like, "Is this real?" It was kind of like the same way Dan's like, "Oh, I know this," right? But the way they both kind of wrote it down at the same time, I love that actually. One thing I'll talk about this at overtime. It was really adorable. If you could go back and watch for almost every single answer, they both had the same pause and then wrote at the same time. You know, have you ever seen Jimmy Fallon do his like thank you letter segment where he'll like send a thank you letter to like somebody and he'll go, "Thank you," and he just kind of gives like this nice little pause. It was so reminiscent of that, but they were just so in sync. And the way that they both missed the same question, you know, Mark even said it. I appreciate how at least one of you picked quarterback. That was nice that at least one person picked the right position. Howie Long played defensive line. Etahn Erwin didn't really touch the ball too much. But it being Peyton Manning, I thought was pretty great. That's so random. What a random question, because I didn't know it. I hadn't seen that movie, so my guess was like Brett Favre. I was like, that's stupid. Brett Favre would never do an animated movie. That's dumb. But how many people watched 10 Things I Hate About You last night? Like, because I think that's important. I think that happens multiple times. Like in the Schmoedown, I've watched like Scott Pilgrim's been a question or something. I'm like, I gotta watch Scott Pilgrim, something like that. It gets you. I love that about the Schmoedown. It reminds you, it boggles the mind of the movies that you forget you love, especially since we've been in this inner geekdom Star Wars bubble for the last 3 months. It's nice to see the singles and teams, kind of restretching that, making our brains remember that there's more movies out there than just the nerdy stuff, and we should probably be getting back out there to them. But man, this was an all-timer. Any match that goes to OT for me hits the pantheon of all-timers, especially the way it went back and forth after being tied after round 2, after round 4, and the way the lead changed, because Ethan was up right after round 1. Dan goes up after round 3, right? 1 point here or there. It's it was a slugfest. It was defensive, but it was slugfest, and it was a pleasure to watch. Honestly, it was two titans of the game at the peak. You don't want anything less in a title match. You can there's room in some of these matches to be disappointed. There's always room for somebody to not show up, not play their game. We mentioned this on the live show last night. To pull a Jeff Snyder, just spin the slice you don't want, and then you're kind of you're just kind of stuck with it, and then you just lose it. You just lose heart. You lose interest. It's not going to happen with these guys because you can just tell right now everybody's in the zone. Everyone's in the zone, Bogz, and you can just tell these guys are at the top of their game. And these kids in this singles tournament got a lot to go through now, because now we have some official news, Bogz. We got breaking news. They're a little beep, 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 beep. Breaking news. John Rocha is competing in the singles tournament. The Outlaw is back.
Let's go.
Saddle up, boys, because it's Outlaw time. Check the clock. It's Outlaw time. And I think he's going to run train on that upper left quadrant. I think he's going to run through it. It's going to be tough.
You better do.
He's got a lot on his shoulders. He's got the Outlaw Nation behind him. He's got us behind him. He knows that. But out here right now, we're looking at one of the deepest pools of talent ever in the Schmoedown. I don't think we have ever, and I'm going to try to bring up these. We're going to try to bring up the tournament bracket here for everybody to take a look at with us. We finalized a couple matches. We don't know when they're going to take place as of this recording, but we are going to take a look.
Well, so the playing matches are now all sorted.
Playing matches are still all sorted out. Bogz, take us through it.
Yeah, so let me just zoom in on mine. That's a little bit small for me.
Okay. Here, I can zoom in a little more for you, bud.
No, okay. So finally, I was quite relieved for Sabrina as well, finally getting her announcement into the tournament. Decent enough fixture for her as well against Vinny Mancuso. Obviously, he has played a teams match before, but obviously a newer player making his debut in singles. So, there's nothing to fear for her there. So, yeah, absolutely well done on that. Obviously, we've got Etahn has been now. Obviously, he's lost the title match, so he's also thrown into that tournament. We've obviously, I believe, Collins will be playing Rocha. So
Correct.
that's that should be hopefully a straightforward win, but you never know. I mean, there's going to be every round. I say there's going to be a big upset. I mean, like you said, the talent pool is too deep in this tournament where we won't have upsets. So I hope it's not Rocha in that section there. But yeah, hopefully he gets that win there. Anyone else I'm missing?
And then Marisol ends up with that was secured the other night going up against Paul. Mm-hmm. That's huge. I mean, you want to talk about a lot. You know, we talk about champs.
Yeah,
champs take important losses.
Absolutely, it's part of the journey.
Marisol, you might lose this match coming up, but you will be back because of it, and you will be. Mark my words right here, everyone. That she is going to be. She is a future champion in this league. You can tell the way she's composed. You can tell the way she plays the game. You can tell by the way she was not rattled by any of the drama that was going on. She was fully prepared for all of it. None of it caught her off guard. And she played a hell of a match. And she got into the tournament, played her way right in through all the drama, saw right through it, put the blinders on Seabiscuit style, and just ran right for the finish line.
Yeah.
Now you got to play a really pissed off primetime Paul Oyama.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's like the one thing, man. If you add Paul, I honestly, you'd have a better chance of winning this match if Paul had just won.
Probably, yeah, maybe. But you know, this is you in effect like the shop window. So you know, show everyone what you got. Show everyone how far you can push them. You know, we never know. You know, like we said, take him to your 5-pointer, and you just never know. Obviously, that would be hard to do against Paul. You know, he is one of the best players in the game right now. But yeah, absolutely, just enjoy it. Just it's all a learning thing for next season, or obviously enter into the singles tournament later. So yeah, you might take a loss there, but so what? It's a part of the journey. It's a part of your building up your record and your CV, and just show everyone what a good player you are. And obviously, the last playing match we haven't discussed is James White against Bibiani. That's another one, same kind of situation. I do fear for him a little bit there because obviously the beast looked awesome, I thought, in the team match. So obviously he had a great round 3 in his playing match, but overall I think the beast will have too much for Bibiani. That will lead to a big round 2 match with the Barbarian there. But yeah, just again, same thing. Just learn from your opponent. Like learn their tricks, learn how the manager communicates with their players, take it all on board for next season, or if for some reason you enter into the teams tournament later on this year. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with losing a match. Like it's like, look at Bunny, like you should learn from Bunny. I'm not even joking. Like she all around entertainment she provided, you know, just overall, just you just have fun with it. And then next year when you start from fresh, then go again. Just now, don't worry about it. Just learn from these matches.
I'm taking a look at this whole thing. I mean, it's just all set up for some of the most like drama-filled revenge matches all over the place. I mean, even if my pick of Barbarian beating Bibiani is wrong because Whitney beats him, that means I get to watch Whitney play Bibbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Sign me up. Like that. Like that's a pay-per-view match for me. You know, old Schmoe's heads. I mean, that's it. I mean, come on, that's drama in itself. And then to have the opportunity to watch Mark Andraco possibly play John Rocha. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, what are we talking about here? Like this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're blessed here. This is
truly.
All I see is win. I don't care who's winning. I just see wins all here. So awesome matches. What we're getting, well, from the first kind of rounds anyway, we're going to get 4 matches a week plus the pay-per-views on the weekend. So yeah, whoever wins, whoever loses, the fans win, man. So
fans are going to win regardless. We win. We're going to be here. I mean, I think this tournament is prime to be the event of the year. And if you haven't thought that almost they've been outdoing themselves every week, it feels like there's something that ups the stakes every week. The team play-in tournament, we mentioned, you know, the drama beside whether or not we think that, Shazam should have had to play in these matches or not. It's been great to see Final Exam. They're a revelation, and it sets up the teams tournament as well, because now the first thought last night was, oh Lord, I don't want to play Final Exam in a teams tournament. No. They just got all this experience, and now they're going to run through. Come on now, y'all. The Final Exam is going to run through that teams tournament. You can throw that bracket up now.
Are we going to discuss the teams pay-per-view next week? Or
yeah, you want to? You want a little prep?
Yeah, we can do a quick one because obviously
this is rough. It's a rough pick for us.
Yeah, well, obviously we're going to do it throughout the week as well, through the first round matches and stuff. But I'll give a quick one now. So undercard, I will say off the top of my head, I'll go Shazam. Just because
that's Shazam and who's the boss, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll go Shazam because of the whole kind of just momentum situation. And yeah, I don't know. Just I have a feel. I really like the way Shazam played.
This is the face of somebody that just realized they get to see Ben Bateman play in the Schmoedown this week.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how the whole thing's going to go. Kind of Ben and Mark. So it's obviously their first digital match and stuff. So I'm not massively confident with that situation. Obviously, yeah, if it was a studio match, I don't know. But based on, like I said, momentum, I don't like when someone's coming in cold. So I will pick Shazam.
Shazam said, "Shut up, Bogz."
Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah, I will pick Shazam though on that one. And Founding Fathers and Corruption. Wow, I can't wait for that promo. So that guaranteed.
Oh my god, the promo.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we've got Chance, our boy Chance. Obviously, Mr. Rocha, exec producer of the show. I mean, these are the 4 best players in the game right now. I don't know. To be honest, I'm gonna sit on the fence a little bit on that one. So I'm
not making my pick until we're like about to sign off of the live show. I'm holding that close to the vest.
I want to see the clashes. I want to see the backstage stuff. I want to see the managers go at it. So yeah, I want to have a little look more. But I'll give a little hint. I don't. In fact, I won't. But just I don't know. Just Chance and Rocha, obviously 2 of my favorite players right now. So
they're literally my 2 favorite players right now.
Yeah, to be honest, it's one of them ones where I don't care. Like they're my 2 favorite players. Whoever wins, like good for you, kind of thing. But yeah, we'll save them picks for how about the live stream that we do on Friday? How about that?
Yeah, I'm Mark Riley's he's the first.
Yeah.
You never forget your first champion.
All-time legend, yeah.
All-time legend.
Mm-hmm.
Man's got an award named after him. Yeah. It's a whole new game.
Yep.
It's a whole new game now. We're gonna see. Is Yodi still willing and able to participate? Because you're gonna see that first round matchup against Video Drew's no joke. It's not someone to be messing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Training folks, Lon taking notes. Yep. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, final thoughts on the pay-per-view.
So yeah, just overall, obviously a solid pay-per-view. I'm not gonna lie, I did actually prefer the teams match, the team situation. For me personally, I do like the drama. I do like the angst. I do like the tension. I didn't really get that in the main event. I just got a kind of nice match where 2, in effect, friends were playing each other. Obviously, we got the deserved winner at the end of it. But yeah, so just to review as well what I kind of previously said, that if someone was going to try and rattle Dan, I'm assuming they will get the same treatment as Chandra has gotten, where it's like a universal kind of discredit of that behavior. But that's exactly, cheat, or I don't like him.
No, cheap kind of with a P. Okay. Yeah, it's cheap. No, but that's true. Like, right? Like some people think like this is what you have to do to beat him. So, but it's 2 different sides of it's two different opinions of what's legal.
That's what it takes. You got to do that kind of stuff. And yeah, you have to go through all that criticism to do it. But at the end of the day, it might get you the belt. Okay, so bear in mind,
Mike Kalinowski threw pudding into a crowd. That man threw pudding at people.
Exactly. That's why I want to see all this, because that's what I'm referring to. I want to see how Rocha and Murrell handle the Corruption Boys and Chance trying to rattle these guys, because they're going to do it all week. I want to see how they handle it. They're gonna lose it. They're gonna be angry on the stream, that kind of thing. So I want to take that into consideration before making a pick. So yeah, overall, obviously decent pay-per-view, but cannot wait for this one on Friday. So no Chronic, I'm watching already excited for it.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at this week at some of probably the it's gonna be this weird sandwich of pay-per-views where we go from the Inner Geekdom title to this one that we just watched to the Corruption versus Founding Fathers, and it's like in the middle is this nice little vanilla wafer. It's just kind of it's nice. It was cool. Wait, which is weird, right? Because the match was great, everything was great, but it's like I feel more excited, like you just said, I'm more excited about what's upcoming this weekend just because of the tension. It just seems
more spice to it. More spice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not the spiciest thing that we could have seen. We could have watched Rocha versus Dan yesterday. That would have been hot. That would have been totally different. It would have been a totally different vibe, And even if Ethan wins, it sets up a totally different vibe, right? It's like, but also you're not going to see what you just described. You're not going to see somebody who is going to gloat, right? Ethan's not going to do that. It's not his cup of tea. It's just not how he handles himself. But yeah, just like you said, Bogz, I'm in for next week. I'm here. I'm excited. I'm excited to get the singles tournament underway. I can't believe we're getting so much content this week. Like it's literally Schmoedown every single day. Future Colin and future Bogz, wish you the best of luck. You guys got a rough week ahead. Yeah, we'll be here. In the past, wishing you luck. But I look forward to seeing a friend of the show come out on top this week. That's all I'll say.
Ooh,
we'll just leave it at that for now. Yeah, which one? So that'll do it, folks. It's it was just like that pay-per-view last night. These episodes, we got to figure out how to trim them down, and we're working on it. We got to trim the fat off of this. We're working it down. So, folks, Bogz, where can folks find you?
Well, obviously follow us on Twitter at TUSSPod. Obviously, Facebook, we're killing out on the views and stuff. So watch it on Facebook, on YouTube. You can subscribe and watch it there. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to John. Obviously, he wasn't here, and also Mina, who's just going through some personal things at the moment, so she can't obviously be with us, but she ain't going anywhere. She'll be back soon. So yeah, I just want to give her a shout out as well, Colin.
Absolutely. And Bogz is selfless as always. Go follow that man at Bogz. Yeah. I mean, that dude's a trip. He's over there. Oh, yeah, it's all good. Today, I'm not supporting myself. You can go follow Manchester City at Man City as they continue their Champions League title pursuit. So hopefully we can get at least one trophy back at the Etihad because they are sorely missed, and I am not a fan of where the Premier League title currently stands. So that'll do it this week on the Ultimate Schmoedown Show, and I still want to keep my job. So that'll do it, and we will see you guys on Thursday for our breakdown of the Monday through Wednesday matches. We'll be back Friday again for a live pay-per-view pre-game show, and then right back here Saturday. So that's the new schedule, folks. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You're getting us just as much as you're getting the Schmoes, and we're happy to be here. So for the Ultimate Schmoedown crew, I'd like to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.